too many conservatives, too many Christians, too many Republicans, too many Trump supporters have been sitting on the sidelines, like I just said, and being apathetic. And I don't understand it. You want to sit there and complain. You want to say, oh my gosh, they're ruining my country. They're this, they're that. Then why aren't you more involved? And I firmly believe, and I'll let you take it from here, that some members of the church, the Christian church in this country, are to blame for sitting idly by for decades and not being involved more in the political process. What do you think, Doc?
Absolutely, Dan. Thank you for having me. I solely blame it on the church and especially the pastors of our nation who have not been willing to engage. They've not been willing to teach or educate their congregations. They bought into the lie of the separation of church and state, which is not in our Constitution. When Jefferson wrote to the Danbury Baptists, when they were concerned about the government having a church religion, he said that the government would never infringe upon the church, but he never said anything about the church not being engaged in what the government was doing.
Thank you.
And pastors have cowered to that, and now they won't talk on issues because they say it's political issues rather than it's moral issues. God's word tells every pastor there to preach the whole counsel of God, Genesis 1:1 to Revelations 22:21. And yet most pastors won't touch issues today because they say, we don't want to ruffle any feathers, and there's people on both sides of the aisle. And I always remind them, there is two sides. There's God's side and there's the wrong side.
Too many have believed the lie that separation of church and state meant the church could have nothing to do with politics. It's the exact opposite. It means the government can never tell us what to do when it comes to our religion. But we were founded on our Christian beliefs and principles. I mean, where do you come up with, oh, there's a law that says you can't murder, thou shalt not murder? That's where it came from. How the heck can anybody that wears that collar or puts on that jacket or what robe, whatever, and says they're a pastor, priest, minister, whatever it may be, how can you sit idly by and be apathetic and ignorant to the fact that your silence is helping to doom this once God-fearing nation? Talk about the book and what they'll find inside and where we can find the book.
Absolutely. Peter Muhlenberg was known as the black robe preacher because in the middle of the Revolutionary War, he preached out of Ecclesiastes, there's a time to live, there's a time to die, there's a time for war. He said that time has come. Took off his robe and he grabbed his musket. His men followed him. They got engaged in what was going on. His brother, who was also a preacher, wrote him a scathing letter, said, how can you be a man of the cloth? How can you get involved? 6 months later, as his brother tried to stay neutral, his house was burnt down, his church was burnt down, his family nearly destroyed, and his brother realized that you cannot be neutral. It just doesn't work.